Corman has spoken of Poe. He has characterized him chiefly as a pioneering explorer of the unconscious, the 19th century forerunner of Freud. Good evening. Welcome back to your degree episode this month, where we focus on horror. From the quote, you can probably get the hint that we are going to talk about Roger Corman this evening.
Yeah, he's the man, the myth, the legend behind the wonderful works that come to life on the big screen and keeps the horror alive for Poe.
Yes, and I think, Jeannie, weren't you telling me earlier about some of the nicknames he's gotten?
Yes, his big one is he's called the King of the Bees. Like the B-rated movies, the ones that are
Yes.
low budget films and all that. And then I can't remember the other two right off, but King of the Bees seems to be the most popular one.
Okay. That makes sense because he definitely is known for a limited budget and
Mhm.
filming within a very short period of time, and how like the perfection of the movie quality with what he had to work with was really, really good.
Yes. Oh, and the other two was the King of the Cult Film and the Pope of Pop Cinema.
Poe Pop Cinema. Okay, cool.
Pope of
Okay.
Pop Cinema. I thought that was kind of cool. It was a very Poe-esque,
Yes.
the Pope
Yes.
of Pop Cinema. And
Apropos with alliteration.
exactly. But yes, it fits very well because the budget movies that I was looking into and reading upon, they said that the filming that was 10 to 15 days, not months like it usually
Right.
is today, but only days, and that the budget was as low as 150,000 up to 350,000, and that was it.
Yes, exactly. And the one thing that I found interesting in the research I did was he actually preferred to have a soundstage for the recording because he could control every aspect of it, of the lighting, the sound.
Hmm.
And so most of the time that's how he filmed. And with the Poe movies, there was only one where they filmed outside, and that was the last one of the Tomb of Ligeia in
Yep.
1964, because he wanted a different kind of setting over in England, and he found that really very cool castle. And so there was sunlight and a lot of echoes and things, but he made it work perfectly.
Yeah, and what was so interesting, especially about his biography, number one,
Born April 5th, 1926, in Detroit, Michigan.
yeah, and that was really cool. And what was even more interesting is especially in the 1920s and later, when he would be about 18, I'd say that would make him what, then late 1930s,
Let's say
early
36. Yeah,
40s. Yeah,
early
early
40s. Yeah.
40s. Yes, that he was supposed to follow in his father's footsteps,
Yes,
which
as an
was
engineer.
to, yeah, he was studying to be an engineer at Stanford University. And
Hmm.
that's where he started losing his interest and wanted to do a passion for film and
Yes.
everything. But he did graduate. He did graduate as an
Mhm.
engineer, only working 3 days for U.S. Electrical Motors.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and then
hey, 3 days. So,
yeah, and then he began working for 20th Century Fox as a messenger, and then eventually becoming a story analyst. I thought that was pretty cool.
yeah. And what's really interesting is that he actually sold his first script in 1953 called The House on the Sea and was
Hmm.
eventually filmed and released as Highway Dragnet in 1954. However, he was so horrified because it was such a disconnect between what his vision was for the project and what it actually turned out to be, that he took the salary that he made from the sale of that film,
Hmm.
turned around and produced the Monster from the Ocean Floor.
So
So
right
he was,
after, wasn't it right after that, later that year in 1954?
oh yes, it wasn't very long. He produced and took what little capital he had, set himself up as a producer, and turned out the movie Monster from the Ocean Floor not very long after. So
Yeah. And
it made sense.
yeah, that's what I found very interesting is that he made one film and then immediately as a director and then immediately turned around and became a producer. I was
Yeah.
like, that's impressive. I mean, that's smart business sense.
Yeah, and what's even more interesting is that he actually finagled a multi-picture deal
Mm-hmm.
with a fledgling company called American Releasing Corps, ARC.
Yeah,
However, that soon changed its name to American International Pictures.
which that's
And
what
Corman,
everybody knows. Yeah.
yes, that's the one that it became, and everybody knows it as. And
Mm-hmm.
he became the major talent behind the camera, and
Yes,
one of the most successful independent studios in cinema history. And I guarantee you, it's all because of him.
I agree. Yeah.
And I thought
And
what was other interesting thing I want to point out is that also in 1954 he used the picture. The next picture after Monster from the Ocean Floor was called The Fast and the Furious.
oh, wow. I didn't
Yeah.
find that in my research. That's fascinating.
Yes, and it was about this trucker who was accused of murder that ended up stealing this woman's sports car and kidnapping her and fleeing to Mexico.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
yeah, so I was like, wow, because when I saw The Fast and the Furious in 1954, I went, okay, did not know it was that early, but okay.
I just wonder if the newer versions, like whoever was the creator
Mhm.
behind the new ones, took any kind of, you know,
Yeah,
ideas or even just the name, like, I wonder if there is any tiny bit of a connection there.
yeah, I wonder if any, well, they would probably have to, someone had to have known something about it.
Yeah.
But um, when I think about the very first Fast and the Furious film,
Mm-hmm.
I do, I can see some slight influence maybe from
Yeah.
what I've read about the description that Corman did,
Mm-hmm.
but probably not a lot. And I hate to
Yeah.
say it, they they like killed. I hate to say that they killed that franchise, but anyway,
Yeah.
um, I
They
was
over
also
too many, but we will not digress on cars because Jeannie is a car fanatic, and if we let her go on
exactly.
too much, we this will become the
Yeah,
car man show, and I
exactly.
am putting
Instead of
all kinds of puns in there.
the Carmen instead of Corman, yes.
Yes, and Carmen, not Carmen.
Yeah, yeah, Carmen.
Oh,
The the Little Shop of Horrors also showed up, and I went, "What?"
yeah, and I did not realize that he did that. And what is really crazy is he filmed it in 2 days and a night.
Yeah, it was like his personal speed record, and he did it in 1960. Now, of course, many of us know the Little Shop of Horrors from 1974, 75.
Well, the
Can't remember the
one with
exact
Rick
year.
Moranis was in the 80s.
Okay.
That's the one, that's the main one I
Tim, yeah, the
remember.
Tim Curry and
Yes,
Rick
yes,
Moranis, know that, yeah.
yeah,
But there was another one that was filmed, I think, before that one,
yeah.
but it was a very popular one, but nothing as short and sweet and to the point as his.
Oh, absolutely. And then the other thing I also found incredible that from 1955 over the next 15 years, he directed 53 films.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And mostly for AIP.
Yes, exactly. And I mean,
So
basically, he was just a movie making machine. I mean, it is incredible.
yeah, and what I think is so fascinating is, and one of the reasons why he got the monikers that he did was that he knew how to. do it quickly and how to use it without having to spend much money.
Mm-hmm.
Like I read somewhere where during an interview, he said, yeah, he said just the candles, when I put the candles out and it was just right light. He said it
Yeah.
just candles. He said it just made it work.
Yeah. And before we go into the Poe movies,
Mhm.
I kind of wanted to just kind of talk a little bit more about what he did after, because the Poe films are from 64 to 68. But
Mhm.
his last directorial role was in 1990 with the movie Frankenstein Unbound. And so
Yep.
I thought that was incredible because that's what, 24 years ago. And so he would have been in his, what, mid 70s?
Oh yeah. He would, well, let's see, 26 to 90. Yeah, he would have been 74. I
Yeah.
think it was. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so
And
he's not that that's old, but just
no.
he was still, doing what he loved to do.
Yeah, and on that point, it was also because that in 1990 he published his biography, How I Made 100 Movies in Hollywood and Never Lost a Dime. And it's
Yes.
one of the
Yes.
all-time great books on filmmaking is when he returned to directing that particular movie, Frankenstein
Hmm.
Unbound.
Yeah. And most of his films, even though they were considered like the B movies, they most
Mhm.
of them did well, and only around a dozen or so were considered flops.
Yeah, but the one that's most interesting that I think is the biggest commercial flop
Hmm.
was the one that he did that starred William Shatner, of all
I
people.
Yes, yes.
They even won a prize at the Venice Film Festival for the movie.
Hmm.
And but it was the first in many years only commercial flop of Corman's. And he
Yeah.
called it a failure, the greatest disappointment in my career.
Yeah, I thought that was very interesting, and especially that it starred William Shatner. But it was very different than his other movies, and I think that's one of the reasons why. It didn't
Yeah,
have
and I
that Corman formula.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I think he mentions also because he attacked, well, I won't use the word attacked, but he was using it to look at the racial integration in the South for
Yes.
that movie. And as a response to the flop, he opted to avoid such direct message films in the future and resolved to express his social and political concerns beneath the surface of
Hmm.
overt entertainments.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think he kind of got hit with, yes, I can't be so in your face with with political views, and especially at that time, because I mean
Yeah.
that was 1962. So yeah.
Hmm. Oh yeah. And then not too long ago, 2009, he was honored with an American Award for Lifetime Achievement, which he is very deserving.
Absolutely. And I mean, considering the wealth of stars that he is credited with mentoring, like Francis
Yes.
Ford Coppola, Ron Howard, Martin Scorsese, Jack Nicholson, James Cameron, Robert De Niro, Peter Bogdanovich, Joe Dante, and Sandra Bullock, of all things.
I
He has
know.
definitely made an influence on.
I I read that as well. I thought that was absolutely just mind-boggling.
Yep.
Well, okay, so let's talk Poe. And
Yep.
I watched the interview that PBS did with him, and that was really interesting. It was about 30 minutes long.
Hmm.
And one of the first questions, of course, they asked was, kind of like what we do, how did you get into Poe?
Yes,
What brought
exactly.
you to Poe? And so apparently, when he was in school, he was given an assignment to read The Fall of the House of Usher. And he really loved the story. It just really resonated with him. And so he asked his parents for the complete works of Edgar Allan Poe for Christmas, and they got it for him. And he said he just read through it very quickly and just loved everything Poe had to offer. And so how Poe kind of came in, or I'm sorry, you know what? I had the wrong years on the Poe movies. It's 60 to 64. I don't know why I was thinking
Yes.
64 to 68. But
You were
when
jumping ahead because I was thinking, I was like, yeah,
I don't
I
know,
knew it was the 4 years, but I was
I,
like, that's okay.
yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. So, sorry about that. But what I thought that this was really cool was when he had to do another. He was doing another picture for AI, and Samuel
Mhm.
Arkoff, who is one of the owners or whatever, wanted him. You know, okay, what kind of movie do you want to make? And so he proposed to them, I want to do The Fall of the House of Usher. And Arkoff was worried that there's no monster. And
Mhm.
Corman's reply, and I quote, Sam, the house is the monster. I love that quote because it's so
Exactly.
true. And I feel like that's kind of what Poe meant it to be. And because the house basically in the movie, you know, and the story, but let's talk film here, it really lends itself to being the focus and the eerie environment of the film. And that's one thing that Corman said. And so
Mhm.
that was the first film he did, the Poe series in 1960. And the other thing that he shared was that's the only Poe movie he wanted to do. That was like kind of, I guess, bucket list maybe.
Yep.
But then it did very well. And so it was like, well, let's do some more.
Yeah, and I think also Corman said that one of the reasons it did so well was because of Vincent Price. He
Yes.
states that he was a brilliant, brilliant actor, and particularly on the very first one, Usher, he brought a commanding, neurotic presence, which I think fit exactly. And he
Mm-hmm.
even goes on to say he gave a number of brilliant performances and he could do comedy. In one of the
Yes.
pictures, The Raven, he had a drinking scene with Peter Lorre, and they were partially doing the script and partially improvising. He says,
Oh,
I
yeah.
just let them go, and they were great in that. They were really funny.
Yeah. And Boris Karloff was in that one too. And they
Hmm.
just, yeah, it just, oh, just superb.
And I
But
think that's the key to Corman because he knew not only was he doing budget films by, just using certain things and doing it right, but he knew how to see things differently.
mm-hmm,
And by letting Vincent Price and Lori get on board and do what they do well, he just
mm-hmm,
let them go and knew that it would make it work.
absolutely. And, you know, also too, especially with the fall of the House of Usher, he loved the macabre setting, just the details that Poe gives you
Mhm.
in the story. I mean, the the first part of the story where the narrator is, you know, coming up to the house on the horse, which transcends into the movie where they filmed in the part of the Hollywood Hills had been burned down. And so they were unfortunate enough to be able to use that. I say unfortunate because of, you know, that's horrible
Yeah,
that
the
that happened.
devastation.
Yeah. The fires, but it put that as the backdrop for the beginning of him of the narrator going to the house, and it was just perfect. And so he also loved the relationship between Roderick and Madeline, basically, you know, saying how fascinating it was because you had all these, you know, the weirdness of the relationship to the point of was it incestuous and all these things because in the interview he talks a lot about Freud and just the those kinds of things.
Yeah, it's amazing that he was able just to see the smallest things and make them perfect.
Yeah, I agree. And what's also really cool too is, you know, he was, you know, part of the script writing. Richard Matheson, who wrote I Am Legend. He did a lot of work on Twilight Zone and other series back then. You know,
Hmm.
they how he said that how they he made it work because there was the challenge that these stories were so short. It's like, can we make a feature film? So they used the Post story as the third act in every movie and filled in the first two acts with kind of their own interpretations. And so I think that's why the Corman movies of Poe's works tend to lend themselves to the Hollywood edition of creating elements based on the story, but not accurately necessarily. Like adding
Well,
in more things.
yeah, and that makes sense because as we've talked many times, whether it be on our regular episodes or on Poe Unplugged,
Mm-hmm.
is that his stories usually start in the middle of something. They don't,
Yes.
and they don't really end. They leave an open ending, and plus
Mm-hmm.
they leave an open prequel.
Yeah.
So you don't really know because, I mean, he makes it so vague. And I think that's why Corman, along with his wonderful writing crew and the
Mm-hmm.
actors that he chose, now there are some things I think they took a little too much liberty in some ways because I don't really see it meeting, as much to
Right.
Poe. But
Yeah.
like you said, they took Hollywood license to make a movie because they
Yeah.
didn't have enough of a story, which that's fine.
Yeah.
But they did use the influence from those stories to help them create something that is still alive and well today.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know,
And so the movies he did, like we said, House of Usher was
mhm.
1960. He did Pit and the Pendulum next in 61.
Yep.
Tales of Terror, which combines a few different stories in 62.
Hmm.
The Premature Burial was also in 62, and that is the only one sans price. And
Yeah.
Ray Milland is in it, and he does a really good job. Like if you had to
Yeah.
replace Price, yeah,
Corman said he was glad he got him, but it was actually written for Price. But
yes, yes,
that's
and
okay. Price couldn't make it.
yeah, and I can't remember what it was. There was a contract. No,
Yeah,
I think he was.
conflict because he was already contracted to do another movie, if I remember
Yes,
correctly.
yeah, I think that's. Yeah, I can't remember what movie it was.
I
Then
can't.
he did two more in 63. He did The Raven, which also kind of brings in elements of other things besides The Raven. The Haunted Palace, which is the short story or the poem in
Yeah, derived from
right, right.
Usher.
But the storyline for the actual what is going on in the film, because they do recite this poem at the very beginning, is the short story by Lovecraft. I think
Hmm.
it's something C. Dexter. I can't remember the title. It's escaping
Yeah, I
my
can't either
brain.
because yeah, he's even Corman says that he attributed to the haunted palace as the inspiration, but it was more of
Yes,
H.P. Lovecraft.
yes, yes.
It's the
It's a
only one. Yeah.
yeah. And then you've got Mask of the Red Death in 64 and Tomb of Lygia in 64.
Yeah.
And so, Jeannie, do you have a favorite?
Um, well, I kind of don't really have a true favorite. I
Okay.
really like all of them,
I do
but
too, for different
if I did,
reasons.
yeah, and I mean, if I did have to choose one overall, this might sound strange, even though it doesn't, it's not Vincent Price because I love Vincent Price, but I
Yeah.
would have to choose Premature Burial.
Okay. Okay.
It just seemed that it was, how should I say, it just seemed to hit more on the horror and the gothic and the true fear that
Yeah.
people had.
Yeah,
which I
no,
think fits perfectly.
I think that makes total sense. I'm I tend to this is hard for me to pick a favorite,
Hmm.
but I probably of all of these would pick House of Usher because there's something about it and just Vincent Price's performance of Roderick is to me so reminiscent of the actual story from Poe. He
Yeah.
captured it so well, but then I love Premature Burial and Tomb of
Hmm.
Ligeia. I mean, Mask of the Red Death, I love the colors.
Oh
It's
yeah.
really hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I hate to say, but okay, nothing against Corman, but I have to say that my favorite Mask of the Red Death movie,
Uh-huh.
I think, I'm not sure who did it, but it was in the 80s. The only thing I remember, and this is what it sticks in my head, and I don't think it was the Mask of the Red Death. I think it was the Cask of Amontillado, now that I think about it,
Okay.
because um the guy who played on Deep Space Nine as Odo,
Oh, Renee
Renee,
Auberjonois.
yeah,
Renee
Renee
Auberjonois.
Auberjonois, because
Mm-hmm.
I loved him in Benson. He was
Yes.
one of my favorite characters in Benson, and he did that movie, and I remember it perfectly that he has some type of mask on his face, but he's getting walled up in a
Okay.
brick wall. So that's
Okay.
why I think it's the Cask of Amontillado, and he was playing not Montessor.
Montresor. Fortunato.
He was playing Fortunato. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. If anybody's been walled up, it's Fortunato.
Yeah. And I remember that even today. I still remember it so perfectly. That one scene of him just being in there, and the bricks being laid, and just the ambiance of it, and I don't know why it stuck with me all these years, but it
Mhm.
has. And
I'm gonna have to watch that version. I don't think I've seen that.
yeah.
And I have a list of all like Poe films or shorts on a keep on my phone, and every time I watch one, I'll check it off. And I need to. I think this summer, that's one thing I want to do is watch more of those films.
Yeah, you need to catch up on that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and maybe we
Aberjana.
can
So
talk
yeah,
about some of those on here.
that would be good. That
Yes.
would definitely be good. I mean, wow. I was looking that up because I wanted to see if I could. I can't believe he played in MASH in 1970 as Father Mulcahy. I don't remember that.
Oh, interesting.
The movie, not the TV
Yeah.
series. He was
Yeah.
actually the. I don't remember that. I
Oh,
truly don't
interesting.
remember him.
All
That's
right.
weird. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, Jeannie,
Let's move
we're
back to
digressing.
Foreman. Let's
But
move back to Foreman.
one other thing I was going to mention as well is in the interview that I watched, Corman basically said that he and Matheson became pseudo Poes by
Hmm.
placing themselves in Poe's mind, and he really tried to focus on like the Freudian aspect of the conscious and unconscious mind because he really felt like that's what Poe does so well that Freud took later, not necessarily from Poe, but just those ideas of your unconscious mind is awakened by your conscious mind based on what you see, what you hear, and all those, things.
Yep. Once more, it hits back to things that we've talked about with the psychology of
Mm-hmm.
Poe's writing and things that he writes about. And Corman, the man proved that he could draw on that and make it work. So,
Yeah. And he was very much a proponent of, or when he was humor and horror, build that tension and then break it with a joke, with a
yeah.
scream or and of horror and things like that. And it's like they balance. It's like the two H's, they balance each other. And that he's so right. I mean, even in modern horror movies, you have a lot of humor.
Yeah, and I mean, Raven, he made Raven like a comedy in certain
Yeah.
ways. And, every time we think of Raven or we watch a Raven or whatever
Mm-hmm.
or read it, we don't really think of it being a comedy per se.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, he is one of the greatest. He earned his monikers. He earned his place on the mound, so to speak.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was trying to think of something punny to say, but it's not coming to me right off the bat. So
Mhm.
and
No, me either. So,
yeah, and one of the last things that he kind of mentioned too was the thing that keeps Poe relevant are his themes and his
mhm.
imagery. And I think that sums up why people still read Poe to this day and watch adaptations.
Yep. I mean, you can't go wrong when you are faced with such, I hate to say it, but greatness
Yeah,
as what Poe has in his writing, and then Corman has with his ideas and just his overall oneness with
yeah,
film and everything, and how
mm-hmm,
he knew how to do it, and he
yeah,
knew how to do it well. With, I
yeah,
mean, come on, even some of the B movies that I can think of, none of them were even close. And I mean, if the man can make a film in 2 days and one night,
yes.
you're going, how?
Well, and what was really cool, and I was watching all the beach movies, with Frankie and Annette.
Mhm.
This has been a while ago, and I did a little video on Corman about it. This has been, oh gosh, it may be a year and a half, 2 years ago. And at the end of, I think it's Beach Party, the some of the those movies, they always had somebody famous show up at the end, and it's usually a surprise. In this particular movie, it was Vincent Price, and
Yeah,
they had a little extra at the end as a premiere for the Haunted Palace coming out, and I just thought that was so cool, just
that is
to tie
cool.
that into the beach movie, because he wasn't, he may have been Big Daddy. I don't remember exactly what his name was, but
Yeah,
and it just, it was great. It was like such a, not, I had seen the movie before, but had forgotten it was Vincent Price, and so it was just like, ah.
yeah, it's just amazing. Um, I mean, we could probably keep connecting many things and talking about how wonderful things are. I
Oh
just wish
yeah.
in some ways that we still had. I mean, some I can see because Ron Howard, he grew up learning from Corman,
Mm-hmm.
so we still have Ron Howard, but at the same time, we don't have anyone that connects as well because, as you know, and I know that many of the things that are made today that are supposed to be based on writings,
Yeah.
most of the time when the movie is better than what's written in the pages, you're like, that's the
Yeah.
one thing we can say with Corman. You know, he had great movies that were inspired by Poe, but in all essence, the movies did not outshine the story of
I
Poe.
I agree, and I will say one director that I think could really do Poe well, and I hope he does, is Benicio del Toro. He did
Oh
the
yeah.
Cabinet of Curiosities.
Mm-hmm.
Those were phenomenal, and they were all based on, mostly, I think, short stories. And
Yep.
I was just floored by how well done that was. And I'm like, please do another set of these and include Poe, at least one.
Yeah.
He would do it beautiful justice.
Yes. I mean, not only is he an awesome actor, but he is a phenomenal director.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
hopefully he can, hopefully he'll come out with something that we can praise like
Yeah,
we do with Corman. So
absolutely. Absolutely. So there'll be a Poe fixated director that comes along, I'm sure,
mhm,
in whatever lifetime we have left.
exactly.
Oh,
Exactly. So hopefully we'll be around to see it. So
yeah. Let us know if there's any topics you would like us to talk about because we have all kinds of ideas, but we would love to hear from you and do something that maybe you've been thinking about that you want to know more about.
yeah, that we would happily jump in and look into and report back for, just like we did for the Pope of pop culture in our Poe segment,
Yes.
because it was just so apropos.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Jeannie. That was beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. My alliteration was on point.
Yes. Oh gosh. Poe point.
Yeah, I made my Poe point.
Yes. So I
Uh,
guess I guess
we
Jeannie,
are
we are
Poe
Poe
out.
out.